IPL earns 9,000 crore rupees every year, yet pays 0 rupees in taxes, while you, a salaried employee, has to pay up to 40% of your salary. GST is all over the place, and your annual CTC feels as real as a unicorn. On the other hand, you'll see rich people and corporates barely paying any taxes or even straight up avoiding them. Tax paying is one of the most patriotic things that any citizen can do, but that feels more like a burden and unequal more than a duty. We all are aware of this term called tax terrorism, but does that affect only salaried employees? And is it even worth paying taxes? Let's find out. There are a lot of organizations which do not pay taxes, as we all know. Some deserve to not pay any taxes because of the value they bring into the society and our country as a whole. For example, foreign embassies, international organizations involved in technical assistance, offshore banking units like the Gift City, provision funds and pension funds, and elite educational institutions like IITs and IIMs, just to name among the many. These actually bring technical expertise, education to the well deserved, and investments. But there are such organizations which name themselves general public utility, cashing thousands of crores of rupees per year in profits and pay absolutely zero in taxes. Organizations include BCCI and other sports federations, including golf clubs, trade unions, and industry bodies like export councils, which literally print money, political parties which scam people crores of tax money, government owned corporations which collect nothing but spiderwebs and dust, charitable institutions which mostly work in their commercial air conditioned offices. None of these pay any taxes. You know why? As per the sections 11 and 12A, these somehow effectively serve society at large or are considered charitable institution, and historically they've been treated like this so that sports, trade and others could be encouraged. If these organizations were to pay taxes, it would exceed 10,000 crore rupees per year. If the government really cared about capital inflow, the first thing they'd have to do is reduce bureaucratic interventions and red tapeism, mini license Raj in the first place. If the government really cared about sports, then the recent pole vault winners wouldn't have had the necessity to carry their equipment via an auto rickshaw. And if the government really cared about people's welfare, the first thing they'd have to tackle is pollution in air, water, and the food we intake. These are the bare minimum for the government, which they literally failed at providing their citizens. We all have that one friend in our friend group who says,
That, sir, we in India today pay taxes like England to get services like Somalia.
let's actually analyze that, shall we? In the UK, about 55% people pay taxes. In India, less than 3%. In Somalia, less than 1% of the population actually pay taxes. The highest tax bracket in the UK is 45%, in India, 43%, in Somalia, 30%. The services provided by the government to the citizens in areas like education, healthcare, infrastructure, and others is directly proportional to the amount and the number of tax money they get. So India pays taxes like Somalia and gets services like Somalia. Now, a lot of countries usually tax their citizens uniformly, but in India, only salaried employees that form majority of the workforce are taxed. It's not that the government has any grudges against this section, but just the result of pure inefficiency. Indian employed workforce working in the corporate offices consists the section whose income is actually traceable. Employers report their salary payment to the government in the form of expenses. Bank transfers happen every time you receive salary. You also file for tax return as well every year because the government knows how much you paid them and how much they owe you. Your salary gets into your bank account after the government takes a share from it. While that is happening, more than 70% is estimated to be working in the informal sectors like street vendors, agriculture laborers, daily wage workers like in the construction, rickshaws, maids, roadside dabas, gig workers, to name among the hundreds of others. And about 90% of this informal sector workers earn less than 10,000 rupees a month. So these people are not eligible to pay any taxes except for GST. This base is narrow, fragmented, informal, and far less eligible for paying taxes. It's nearly impossible to track the informal sector and keep a tab on that population. So, eventually, what the government gets its hands on is regular office going employees. Now, you know what to say the next time someone says tax like UK, services like Somalia. But then, why do rich people seem to pay differently? Rich people and corporates have access to some financial tools and instruments which are not available to the general salaried employees. If you're a stock investor, you already know that the salary attracts higher taxes than the capital gains taxes. So, rich people and huge corporate companies take advantage of this loophole and save hundreds of crores of taxes every year. The CEOs also take very less salary compared to the top employees. For example, Zuck takes $1 as his annual salary package, and all of his expenses like his private yacht, mansion, and his personal security all are considered as company expenses, and he pays absolutely zero in taxes from his own pocket. And he's not the only one to do so. This also gives confidence to the company's shareholders that the CEO's personal wealth is tied directly to company success. If the stock price goes up, the shareholders and the CEO win together. You also might have heard the news about Mukesh Ambani owning 600 acres of mango farm in Gujarat. Well, turns out agricultural income is fully tax free. And I'm not saying that Ambani actually does that, but there are huge chances of rich people using these farmlands as instruments for money laundering and tax evasion. You just have to say that my rice farm produces huge profits for my plastic factory, and you are set. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Other instruments like charity trusts, income split among the family members, or even the names of Binami hands, offshore company registrations into countries like Singapore, UAE, loaning huge amounts of money are some of the many methods rich people use to pay less taxes. So if tomorrow someone comes up and says increase taxes on the rich, they're just going to move out of the country, taking their businesses along with them. That's exactly one of the many reasons multimillionaires are moving out of India. If the company owners do this, so do their companies. The tax system rewards flexibility more than the salary. Now, if you're a wannabe entrepreneur or a company owner, you can take advantage of business expenses, depreciation, registration of your company into non tax countries, taking debt, and so on and so forth. Till then, good luck. Okay, now you pay taxes. But the question is it actually worth it? Because if you are paying taxes, you would want your money to be spent on infrastructure like highways, railroads, ports, healthcare, education system, security, and good governance, among the many. But is it actually going in the direction it is meant to? Whenever the central government announces budget, we get a rough idea of where our money is going to. If any expenditure has a satisfying return on investment, then we can assume that the money is going in the right direction. But the latest spending proves what a disappointment our budget allocations are becoming. As per the RBI reports and financial year 26-27 budget, the capital expenditure is 11.4 lakh crore, while the revenue expenditure is 52 lakh crores. And mind you, this revenue expenditure is not for the salaries or anything, but for the subsidies via direct bank account transfer without any productive outcome, later leading to deficit induced inflation, identity based welfare funding, increasing the division which is already present in the society, increasing debts of states which were accumulating while giving freebies to the people, and many other unnecessary spending, frustrating the taxpayer with poor infrastructure, polluted cities, salaries for politicians and bureaucrats, law and order, meaningless education system which is only designed to make us slaves and not thinkers and innovators. And not just simply that, India has the worst bureaucratic system in all of Asia. Despite all that, there is a value add to the taxes that we are paying, but the majority of population is not receiving the advantages. Sure, not everything is bad. We are looking at a large scale development of highways, expressways, rail network, and multiple others. But comparatively, What we should be getting is not what we are getting, and the government is not addressing this, leaving the taxpayers in frustration. But that doesn't mean you should not be paying taxes at all. As said earlier, paying taxes is one of the most patriotic things that a citizen can do because you are helping with your money the entire nation to develop. India needs a huge reset button to develop from current situation to being the first world nation. Now, I am in no way endorsing tax evasion in any shape or form, but you can plan to reduce taxes. New regime has lower rates but fewer deductions. Sections like 10, 54 and 54F can be easily taken advantage of. Mind you, this is not an investment or tax advice. Please do consult your chartered accountant for more details on this before taking any step further. Unfortunately, a lot of salaried people do not know about these kinds of methods. And you are not even evading taxes. You are saving your money while recycling it in the economy. But there is a twist here. India cannot tax like developed countries primarily because of its vast informal economy, keeping the direct income tax base at less than 7% of the population. Developed nations rely heavily on direct income taxes from formalized workforce. Even our financial policies rely heavily on lifting citizens out of poverty than aggressive extraction. One thing that you should take away from this video is to not evade taxes, but to understand how your tax money is distributed among our fellow Indians. It's not that the rich people do not pay taxes or government steals money from us citizens. It's that two people earning the same amount of money can end up paying very different taxes simply because one understands the rules better. And whether you agree with the system or not, understanding those rules is no longer optional.